You want to be strong?
Alright, finally. Here we go. So, Falk is the newest character, just released today, and, as per usual, a lot of people are already trying to decide whether or not, she's strong or weak after, like, 2 seconds of looking at the character. So, I figured that, before anyone decides whether or not, she's strong, people should, first figure out how she's supposed to be played. And, what I want to demonstrate is, in general, just like, a basic guide for Falk, including, like, just combos and options and tech that, like, we've discovered up to this point, even though it's not been very long. And, my presentation of how I think the character should be played, based on my own experiences and watching professional players and other high-ranked players online, and the various styles that they have been using and who has been more or less successful. With that being said, let's go over a quick overview. Standing Light Punch is 4 frames, and it's +3 on hit and +2 on block. Crouching Light Punch, +3 on hit and +2 on block. Crouching Light Kick, +3 on hit, +2 on block. And Standing Light Kick, 5 frame startup, +4 on hit and +3 on block. So her lights are actually quite good on block, but that's because her mediums and heavies are all quite slow. Her best normal out of these lights is probably Light Kick. Light Kick has crazy range for a move that's only 5 frames, and so long as you have the shot charged, you can always cancel it into, and except for max range, it'll always combo cleanly, which gets a healthy amount of damage for just a poke with a light, and it's completely safe on block, doing good chip damage as well. So this is probably the combo that you're going to be doing most often with the character, is just Light Kick into Gunshot. That's the one you'll probably land most frequently. Unfortunately for Falk, unlike other characters that have longer range but slower normals, Falk's light attacks are not that amazing on hit. In fact, they don't even combo into themselves, most of them. Light Kick combos into either Light Punch, which can combo into B-Skill, and Crouching Light Kick will specially link due to rapid canceling into Crouching Light Punch, which can be done into either of those. And anything will pretty much link into Gunshot at any range. Standing Medium Punch has very little range. It's 6 frame startup. It's mainly just used when you're right next to the opponent as a frame trap. It's really good on hit. It's really good on block. It's +3 on block. It's +8 on hit. You can confirm it immediately at any range, and do at any range that it can hit into medium kick, and counter hit. You can confirm it in a hard punch at any range that it'll hit. Standing Medium Kick is 8 frames, which is a little too slow. A little slower than I would like it to be, but this button is one of her safer buttons to throw out in neutral. Obviously her safest being Light Kick, but this button is not as whiff punishable as Crouching Medium Punch or Standing Hard Punch, and it's a really good buffer into that special, or the EX version. And yeah, you can buffer it from really far away and it'll work cleanly. Due to its angle, it's especially good at beating lows. Crouching medium kick is not particularly great. It's really just a low poke. It has decent range. I forget what its startup is. It's not cancelable into anything outside of V-Trigger 2, and even then. So, yeah, it's +2 on hit, it's -2 on block. Oh yeah, crouching medium punch is, it's an okay poke. In most situations where you can use this button though, standing hard punch is generally better. Standing hard punch, if I can get it. There we go. Crouching medium punch has slightly more range than standing hard punch. But standing hard punch is cancelable and very relatively easy to react to when it hits into special moves. Whereas this is not special cancelable, and it's a bit more whip punishable. It's even slower on startup than the standing hard punch, and it's -4 on block, whereas the standing hard punch is only -3. The advantages to this and both of these moves. Let me just set this up here. So I have Ryu doing a light kick after blocking a normal. So as you can see, I am spacing it so that I am out of the range of his light kick, and most normals in this game that you would use to extend pressure, like you would do a frame trap into medium kick afterwards, because that's what it combos into, but it's not a frame trap because medium kick is really slow at 8 frames, so it'll lose. The thing about standing hard punch and crouching medium punch is that unlike most attacks in the game, her hurt box doesn't move forward like any of those. So if I'm outside the range of a light kick, it'll just, it won't interrupt the startup because Falk's body isn't moving anywhere. It'll just cleanly beat it. This isn't the case against all buttons, especially buttons with a lot of active frames, such as that. It'll still lose, unfortunately. But in those situations, you still have a very hit confirmable standing medium kick. And what you're probably going for most often, light kick gunshot, as I said. Your most common damage. Hard kick is, it's okay. I mean, like, it hits pretty far. It's farther than, it hits a bit farther than hard punch. But, it can be crouched, and, it whiffs for, like, a lot longer than some of the other moves that can be crouched in the game. And it's not that much farther. It's not like Chun-Li's hard kick, where, you can really use it to stop forward movement, especially with, slower characters like Zangief. And, so yeah, it's also not that great as a crush punish, per se, just simply because, Falk gets better punishes with different moves that aren't crush counters to, invincible reversals. So it will crush counter, like, as an anti-air sometimes, and, you can throw it out if, like, the opponent is standing a lot, not using crouching moves. It'll still work in those cases, and if they whiff an invincible reversal or something and you're not right in front of them, the crush counter allows you to dash forwards afterwards, so. It's a bit better than going for, like, that, which would do more damage. I pretty much talked about standing hard punch enough, but know that, it's not as good of a release into the gunshots, simply because at max range it won't, the gunshots won't reach, and you wouldn't want them to anyways. You don't want to release the gunshots on standing hard punch. You want to see whether or not it hit and then cancel into that to get a knockdown. which is pretty easy to do, especially if you see the opponent was starting up a move or something before the hard punch hit them. So you have all that time to confirm. Like, this has so much time for you to cancel into a special move. It's really easy to get a knockdown off of that. Other than that, you can cancel it into the crouching gunshot at a certain range. Max range, it won't actually link as a combo, but it's fine. The farther away you are when you do the crouching gunshot, the more plus it will be on block and on hit. So, if you're, this is an especially good activation of V-Trigger. At least V-Trigger 1. Crouching hard punch is a really good anti-air. It's also very fast compared to some of our other normals. It's 8 frames. Its range is dependent on whether or not the opponent is standing or crouching, but it will still hit crouchers at point blank. Unfortunately, this move, even though it does more damage than standing hard punch, it doesn't cancel into it doesn't link into the low gunshot, which means that you can't get stuff like stuff like that. Crouching hard punch, yeah, makes a great anti-air, although most of the time you'll be anti-airing with the Schneider instead. And you can probably find like some place to poke with this, or get like an extra like counter hit conversion off of like a not quite point blank counter hit crouch down forward hard kick, which will link into that better than it will link into just like a medium punch. But anyways, and then there's crouching hard kick, which as far as I can tell is not very great. It doesn't have that much range, not really. She does move forward, but unfortunately it's not quite enough. It's fast, so it would make a good whiff punish, if not for the fact that, like, it doesn't have more range than the other normals, so it's like, if you can whiff punish with something, just do that, instead of that. This also doesn't make a particularly good V-Trigger activation, because it's only +2, and it doesn't move you forward that far. Whereas, say, doing like a medium kick into V-skill would be +3 on block, and move you a lot farther forward. Or simply doing like anything in the gunshots would be +17, and this is the far-reaching gunshot. You get the idea. There's also the command normals. There's down forward hard kick, which like has it is actually special cancelable on its own. So in certain situations, this will beat lows, not as well as like standing medium kick will, but you can buffer it just for some reason. And this move is very good up close. Allow me to explain. It is +6 on hit, +8 on counter hit, +2 on block. It can be done meaty to be, I think 2 or 3 frames better. I might have to check that. Yeah, 3 frames better if it's done perfectly meaty off of certain situations. The reason why this is good is because, so I have Ryu answering a block with his 3-frame normal to demonstrate that Valk does get tick throws off of every button because they're all +2 on block. However, she can't get them if the opponent's just holding back. And like I said, she can't cancel her low medium kick. However, even though crouching down forward hard kick still has a long startup, during the entire startup, the opponent will be put in, if they're in proximity, they'll be put into proximity block, which means that even if they're holding back, they won't be moving backwards during the startup of the move. So you can still, even if they're just holding back, you can do anything into that to catch them walking backwards and get a combo off of it. So that move is good for meaty situations, sort of like Mika's forward hard punch. It also has less push block than her standing medium punch, which is her other combo starter. As you can see, that is not a real frame trap. It doesn't link. But so this is, in general, a much better starter on block than the medium punch when you have the time to get it out immediately. Because the medium punch has a significant amount of push block, which means that after this, you pretty much, your only legit frame trap afterwards is the light kick and gunshots. Which is, you know, your normal combo, as I will continue to state throughout this video, but unfortunately you don't get light kick into like anything else. And anything else isn't really an actual frame trap unless you do like that, which just gets the same situations really. One more thing I forgot to mention about the the down forward hard kick as a move to stop people from walking backwards is that, like I already said, you can special cancel this on its own. Once again, extremely hit confirmable. So if you're a little bit out of range, you don't just need to rely on taking whatever, the V skill as a knockdown. You can get a lot more. You just react to that, which is no problem at all. Very easy to react to. And next there is forward hard punch. This is a really long-reaching poke, although it's very slow on startup, and it's -10 on block, and it's only 0 on hit. However, this is a crush counter move with a high amount of priority, making it her best crush counter, really, because this one you're not hitting very often, because even in punishing reversal situations, she has better punishers with hard punch and down forward hard kick as the combo starters. So instead, forward hard punch is the one that you'll be using the most often in neutral. And against most characters, they won't be able to punish it very hard on block, or at all, at most ranges. So, however, this move is beaten out pretty easily in a lot of situations by things with a lot of active frames. It'll just like poke into fireballs a lot of the time if you don't do it fast enough. Like so. However, it's still a really good move. Like it's super far-reaching. It gets a knockdown on counter hit. It's good. Use it. Use it sparingly. It can be jumped in on. It's essentially like throwing a fireball. But yeah, that's a tool that she uses and needs to use. But for the most part, her game will not revolve around using that move, but using just her regular pokes. Primarily light kick, medium kick, and standing hard punch. And occasionally poking with this in situations where hard punch is not like what you want. But yeah. Medium kick is a really good buffer to beat moves with punish. It especially bullies lows. Low attacks will always lose to this move, and you can buffer from a mile away. Hard punch, you always want to do. It's fairly well punishable, as is crouching medium punch. But like I said, the benefit of these moves is that they don't move her forward on startup. So it's pretty safe for her to. It's safer for her to like walk into this range and poke with this than it is for her to poke with that, because she won't risk running into a normal as easily. Whereas she can do this, and she can essentially poke from like where she pulls her body backwards into. So this is still a really good move. Just don't be whiffing it. Always or almost always make sure you're actually in range to connect with the move, and then confirm it on hit, which is pretty easy to do. Especially if you're in an actual match where you can see whether or not your move's going to land before it actually does. And that's all of her normals, other than her jumping normals. Jumping light punch is, you can use it for some goofy... It's a good air-to-air. And you can use it for some goofy situations in V-Trigger 1, where you can fake like a tick throw, basically. Where you can neutral jump or jump with that off of certain knockdowns into that, or instead into that, which is a frame trap. Jumping light kick is, not a cross-up. It's fine. Like, this move isn't really used all that much. Jumping medium punch is probably, her best jumping button. You'll be using the other ones, like, probably more frequently if you're just going for regular jump-ins about this range. You'll be going for hard punch and hard kick. But jumping medium punch has like not jumping hard kick range. It hits so far. Like from full screen away, you can jump in with that, which is like miles away from where like most characters will actually like reliably anti-air. So you can often like jump in with this really easily, and even like fake it at like ranges where the jumping shot will hit the opponent's ankles, which will result in the best plus frames. You see that was plus 16, plus 23. So at those ranges where she could either jump in with that or she can stop her shot, and it's much more difficult for the opponent to punish, like get around the gunshot when it's like this far away. So it's pretty easy for her to move forward slightly with the gunshot, like that, or move forward with a jump in from crazy far away due to just her amazing jumping medium punch. Being able to move forwards with different options in the air and still be plus is really good against zoning characters that use projectiles along the ground. Jumping medium kick is her cross up. It's a really good cross up. It hits pretty high. It's also one of the deepest hitting ones. There are certain setups where you can hit a meaty head stomp, or what is this move actually called? So there are certain setups where you can hit this head stomp and immediately combo into, like actually combo into the jumping medium kick. Jumping hard punch is kind of weird. It's pretty slow on startup, so it's you have to try it out and get used to it, the timing and the specific hurt box or hitbox. But it's a really good move. It doesn't hit quite as far as it looks, but it still hits very, very far, and it's very advantageous on hit. And jumping hard kick is probably the most basic jump in. Just jump with a good, decent, horizontally ranged move. Now for her specials, we have this, the catapult, which is your basic knockdown special. Most of the time, you'll be just buffering this or doing it in combos. The EX version hits mostly in the same situations, although the EX version startup is a bit slower. So that's a situation where you can raw combo into that. But the EX one is too slow. But in most situations where you're going to be just doing a raw kick, like that, the EX one will still work. Another example, although one that won't matter hardly ever, of this is counter hit standing light kick. Will link into the regular one, but not the EX one. So, like, I guess, like, if you really need to punish a whiff reversal in 5 frames, know that you have to do that with the normal one. Next, she has the Schneider, Psycho Schneider, which is a fantastic anti-air. So I play on pad, which makes charging the shots for this like a massive pain in the ass. But anyways, I have the punch buttons, the 3 punch button and the 3 kick button to set to their default. So 3 punch at L1 and 3 kick at L2, which means that if I'm charging a shot, I can just hit L1 with my other hand to do the anti-air. It's extremely easy to react to. The anti-air is super fast. It does good damage. It causes a good knockdown. It's a good anti-air. She can also combo this in certain situations, like that.
You won't miss. It's not done. Handle this.
And the EX Schneider is a bit slower, but it is completely invincible on startup. And her 3 other special moves, of course, the gunshots. So I'll explain the charging, like the holding down for the negative edge inputs, in a bit. But if you're concerned about playing Falk because you think that she's hard to play because of needing to play while holding down a button, once you get it down, you will have to be pressing a lot of buttons because you'll have to constantly be switching which input you're holding the charge on based on the situation, and you'll need to be able to hold the button while doing other things like know that like once you get it down to muscle memory and practice it a lot, it's not that bad. So anyways, the regular version of the shot just shoots a 3-hitting projectile like this, which is pretty good for blowing up other projectiles. It beats other projectiles really well on their startup. So if your opponent's a projectile character that throws projectiles a lot, you can use it a lot at this range, and it'll generally win. Now, as for the range of her attacks, crouching medium punch is the farthest. Standing hard punch is very, very close to that range. Gunshots are quite a bit farther in terms of pokes, and this is by all means a poke. Like, most of the time you'll be canceling this off of normals, specifically light kick in most cases, although sometimes medium kick as well. But it is also like her farthest reaching poke, which will beat normals and stuff in that range, other than this poke, which is even farther away. However, much like I said, talked about with the standing hard punch and the crouching medium punch, you don't want to do this when it's not going to hit. You want to do this in this range. Specifically do poke in this range. It does good chip damage. It does good chip damage when you do it like that or that. It's fine. You don't need to try to catch people's normals from outside the range. That just invites them to jump in on you. If you use it at this range, they're not going to jump in on you because it'll hit them out of jump startup or the air, because it hits really high into the air as well. If you do it from back here, you're taking an unnecessary risk for probably no benefit, because the projectiles aren't going to hit all. They're just going to hit like one or two of them like that. This projectile also makes for one of the best V-trigger cancels, being plus 21 on hit, and I think like plus 17 on block. It's really easy to confirm into super as well.
It's not done. Handle this.
And if you're in V-trigger 2, you can always confirm the light kick into gunshots into a knockdown. Gunshots are plus 1 on hit and minus 3 on block. Next, there's the low gunshot, which, so I want to emphasize this. Falk is not a zoning character, alright? If you're playing like this, if your play just looks like this, you need to stop what you're doing and rethink how you're approaching the character, because that is very low reward and very high risk. You'll just constantly be putting yourself into the corner, doing these tiny smidgens of damage and these terrible air fireballs that will leave you at negative situations half the time. Alright? The character's not meant to be played like that, so just don't play her like that. So the low fireball is significantly better on hit. It's plus 4, which allows you to do some unique corner combos. The reason those won't work mid-screen is because the projectile will push him mid-screen, but it won't move your character personally, not like an actual hit would. But in the corner, he won't move because he has nowhere to go. This move does not work very well as a low profile, unlike what it looks like. It's not meant to specifically low profile, but it is actually projectile invincible. So you can use this very easily to get underneath projectiles while shooting your own. Especially if the opponent dashes into it behind their projectiles, you can just combo off of it like that. So this is minus 3 on block normally, and the projectile moves very, very quickly across the screen. So, it will be, like, closer to plus 2 around these ranges. So at the max range where you can do hard punch into it, you're looking at a 0 or plus 1 or plus 2. So yeah, you can use it as a projectile, although I wouldn't recommend using it that much. It has a very slow startup, and it doesn't particularly low-profile jump-ins very well either. Her hurt box is still pretty much up where she would be if she was crouching. But you can use it as you can use it as a projectile. You can use it as a really good V-trigger cancel or activation, allowing you to get forward dashes into plus 1 if you do it at about this range. And you can cancel moves into it to create like weirder frame traps or plus on block. And lastly, this goddamn air fireball that everyone just keeps like spamming out constantly and then wondering why they're losing is really bad. Like, it's not something that you can combo off of. I've done like every single setup in like at this range to try and figure out if you can hit it low enough that you can possibly combo off of it on hit. If it hits right there, it doesn't work. It's like, and people are like doing this when they have like a golden opportunity to literally just jump in and punish like a fireball or stuff. They see that and then they release the air fireball instead and are taking like this piddly amount of damage and then being minus on hit after dropping to the ground. It's a good move to have. It's good that she has this. She can change her jump arc and trajectory. She can stop people from moving towards her. She can use it from this range to like to move forward slightly while keeping her opponent in check in a way that's not particularly punishable. But this move is like yields you almost nothing. It's not meant for zoning. It's not something that will net you damage or setups. You can do that on reaction to this move. Like, I cannot stress how bad the air fireball is. It's not a zoning tool that's gonna work. It can be easily jumped over or dashed through preemptively. The dash through you have to do pretty early. You can jump over it on reaction with ease. No matter how high or low it is in the air. Lastly, to cover her V-skill, it moves her forwards when she cancels into it. But generally, it won't actually link from max range on hit or on block from her light attacks. Like, it's much better to poke with light attacks in the gunshot rather than light attacks in the B skill. The B skill does build you V gauge on hit. It also nullifies projectiles, but it doesn't build you V gauge for doing that. The V skill will cause a knockdown, and you can combo into it off of that. And you can cancel the V skill into trigger activation. And lastly, her super, which is extremely fast. It's like 4-frame startup, I think. It's insanely fast. It doesn't have that much range, so it's like you won't be able to link it off of like stuff like that. It's too far away, but anything into regular gunshot should still work. And if you just like land like a straight medium punch or anything that's +4 or more, should be enough to link into super. And the super is also very easy to combo into. Off of anything. It makes a great anti-air as well, hitting like everything up there. You can cancel off of that. So that's pretty much the rundown. I'll cover her both of her triggers in a bit. But now I just need to cover. Oh, I guess I should cover her throws. There's her forward throw, back throw, air throw. So now, some basic combos. Standing medium punch. will, at any range that it can hit, will link into standing medium kick, which will always link into the kick or EX kick, catapult. Off of EX catapult, you have a variety of choices afterwards. You can do V skill to build you V gauge. You can do the punch option for damage and a better positioning after a forward dash. You can do you can just do another catapult for corner carry, but you won't get a forward dash after that if they normal recover. You'll just get a walk up into like a standing medium punch or like a light or whatever. You can get gunshots, which will have by far and away the best knockdown, allowing you to which will leave you much closer to the opponent if they choose to back recover, but I'll talk about Oki in a bit. And you can air reset them with bullet hard punch. Although the benefits to doing so are not yet found, I should say. There we go. You can reset them for a side switch in the corner with the trigger activation. There's also the light confirms. Crouching light kick, crouching light punch, into V skill or Psycho Schneider. Both of these have to be done pretty much point blank, otherwise the specials will whiff. And if the specials will whiff, at any other range, just go for gunshot. Counter hit confirms that you'll probably be getting, like, off of a frame trap like that. Notice that, I'm not using the medium kick because, the medium kick won't actually work as a frame trap in that situation, but the hard punch will generally beat most, normals that a character can press at that range. And, if it won't beat all the normals that, a person can press at that range, you might have to consider doing a different frame trap that uses something with less push block at the start, so that you can get a light kick at the end of it. And your gunshots. Once you've conditioned your opponent enough, you can do light kick into like other stuff, like. That being said, light kick really isn't a frame trap into gunshots. It's a true block string at most ranges, except for absolute max range, which you can set up with some of your block strings. In which case it will be a frame trap, but none of the other light normals are capable of doing this. The biggest problem by far with this pressure, is that fucking the only light that actually counter hit links into a medium is light kick. So you kind of have to go for it in most situations. If you don't have time to get something like that out. Or if you just want to hit them with something meteor, you can just do a standing medium punch. And then if that doesn't hit, you can just take your light kick or whatever into gunshots. Or and once they've been conditioned by that, you can start using more medium punches. hard punch, which you should be able to hit confirm immediately if it gets the hit. Definitely practice that, like, in training mode. Practice that in, like, practical situations where you'd be fighting another person and can actually see what they're doing. Definitely practice hit confirming that in one hit in your special, because that's important. It's not hard. Like, it's way harder to hit confirm Cammy's standing hard punch into Spiral Arrow than it is to cancel this. You have probably twice as much time to cancel it on reaction. So there's counter hit, light kick, medium punch into a medium kick into whatever. There's a counter hit standing medium punch into standing heavy punch, which will also go into that. There's counter hit that, which will link into that at certain ranges. If you don't just want to go, but it will also just link into like a medium kick at all ranges. So on counter hit, of course, the crush counter, which you can get a dash up. Although getting a counter hit standing heavy punch is a stronger punish. So yeah, some of Falk's combos, this is just a general thing, but a lot of Falk's combos don't necessarily do that much damage, but Falk does crazy high stun. Like, just... 725 stun in that one combo. You could do one more, but I messed up the input. But yeah, she just outputs insanely high amounts of stun. In general, the gunshots will do the most stun. So if you can do combos with gunshots, they'll do more stun versus something else that would do more damage. You can also always link a crouch, counter hit, medium punch in a sweep, although there's no reason to, because you can always do hard punch. The rules for the corner combos are generally... oh, by the way, I need to mention something for this, although you'll probably figure it out really easily yourself. If you do the Psycho Schneider as soon as possible, you only hit once with one hit. Which, not only does this do less damage, it also provides a worse knockdown. You want to put a slight delay so you get both hits. So, in the corner, you can just basically get the same stuff. Only with a much better knockdown. Because one of Falk's biggest problems is that... she can't really cover the knockdowns or do anything to meaty people who back recover. Most of her knockdowns in mid-screen. Because remember, she can't forward dash after that, because if they normal recover, then she'll be minus after the forward dash. So she can't cover it with that. So none of her options are just fast enough to react to in those situations. However, she can react in those situations because she can get, she can meaty with that, she can meaty with hard punch. And, like I said, you should be able to hit confirm hard punch. So that's a good knockdown that she can cover. Another thing that she can do is, after this knockdown, you can forward dash and release a gunshot, and it will cover both knockdowns, or both wake-up options. Especially if you have a V-Trigger 1 ready to cancel or activate that'll cover both wake up options, normal recover and back recover, and it'll be plus due to the canceling, and it won't be punishable if you do it on the normal recover and they block. So the B-skill knockdown is okay. I don't know which one I would recommend going for the most, because that gives you the most corner carry. That nets you the most damage, and one of the things that is like, Falk does a lot of stun, but she doesn't maintain her offense very well due to the fact that people can usually get out of her knockdown situations and avoid getting meatied, or be out of range for any throw if they just back recover off of her knockdowns. So, having a high stun output doesn't really matter because they'll be able to escape and then their stun will be able to drop. So, her stun output really matters when she has V-trigger or she's in the corner, where both of which are situations where she can really extend her pressure and continue to attack you until you're dead or you get stunned. That's when her stun output becomes a big thing. So instead of worrying about that, I would usually try to look for getting damage in situations where those situations are not met, or go for corner carry. But then again, both of her V-triggers are very strong. I think her V-trigger 1 is a lot stronger than her second V-trigger though. So perhaps, you know, building V-gauge with that, especially if you can build 2 V-trigger 1s in one round, that'd be really good. Especially, and it's pretty viable to do that since you can choose pretty much how quickly you fire off the shots. So you can just constantly do stuff like this. And you're out of shots. Off of her Psycho Schneiders, he gets a forward dash generally, and not much else. Not close enough for a throw on the normal recover, and definitely won't be for the back recover. One thing that you can do off the EX1 is just leave it as an EX, and then get a guaranteed 80 afterwards, if you really need to. Her regular B-skill knockdown is like a bit better than some of the other stuff, but it's still like not great. Like off of a normal recovery, you'll get that. Back recovery, you'll get nothing. Or you'll get the crouching medium punch. Never mind. Yeah, at that range where you'll be actually confirming against this. No. So that's probably one of Falk's biggest problems, is just not being able to get meaties at all. Because her forward dash is really slow and really short. And her knockdowns are pretty far. And not particularly advantageous enough to like dash in twice like a lot of other characters would be able to. V-trigger 1 gives her access to 3 enhanced bullets, which she inputs by doing the V-trigger activation input. You still have access to your regular shots while you're in this. You can cancel. You can cancel the V-trigger shots into the other V-trigger shots, so you can go from standing to crouching and crouching to standing. But unfortunately, and you can cancel a lot of other stuff into it too, like the V-skill. But unfortunately, you can't cancel regular shots into the V-trigger shots, which is kind of lame. It means that even that your most consistent poke like this, you can't convert that into anything more with the V-trigger shots. Unless you're automatically just doing that into the V-trigger shots, which would kind of be a waste on block. But the V-trigger shots are still very good. The low one is very fast. I wouldn't use it like just throwing out them as projectiles. Like they work better in certain situations, but if you wanted to, it's much faster than the normal version. and it has multiple hits. This version goes farther. It will beat out other people's projectiles from farther away. It's still not, like, not a good idea to use it like that. It's kind of a massive waste of the V-trigger shots. And, it's pretty difficult to waste these ones. Well, actually, no, that's not true. If you just do it like this, you're not going to really get much from it, but, if you do it in, like, certain situations, like... So, medium punch, jumping medium punch into the trigger shots is really good. If you're far away, it'll hit it at a really good angle so that you can forward dash in and be plus on hit or on block. +4 on block. It's a bit of a waste to just do a jump in into this, if only for the fact that, like, you're already plus when you do a jump in. So if they block it, there's really no reason to do that. It only gives you a benefit on hit, really. Whereas this one is much more practical. Another use of the trigger shots is, so medium kick is, when you special cancel moves, the character generally, like, moves a certain distance due to the cancel, usually backwards. So certain moves like this get moved really far back and no longer link. So it's like hard punch. Hard punch will eventually reach a range where it won't link into that when buffered, but that will never reach a range where it won't link. Well, I shouldn't say never, but because medium kick, when cancelled into a special, doesn't move Falk back very far. In fact, it moves her forwards. So because of this, medium kick is one of the best things for canceling into V skill, because everything else will cause it to whiff, because it's not moving forwards. But medium kick, which already has really good range, will move it forwards enough to be blocked every single time. And you can use that to move yourself forwards by constantly canceling this string of actions using the V-trigger one-shots to go from this poke range, even on block, to being +4 at about here. And then every single time you do that, it'll be closer. So that's a much better use to get yourself in, to pull yourself forward and be plus on block rather than doing stuff like that, which will slightly move you forward and be much more risky. You can also hit confirm this into the low shots, which will get a knockdown at that far range. If you want to, you can do both the shots. Her shots, in addition to doing tons of stun, will also can also be used in her combos to do stuff like that. Which the importance of that is that not only does it do more damage and more stun, but it gets a much better knockdown. So this V-trigger is really good because it helps Falk keep up the pressure and stay close to her opponent, while dealing way more damage and way more stun, and having just a ton of utility. As for V-trigger activations, the best ones were probably anything into that, which is +17. Hard punch into that, which at max range is +21, allowing you to get a forward dash to be +1. +1. the same thing that you would do to ensure that you move in with pressure during the shots. That's +3. And this pressure sequence gets even better when you're in the corner because the gunshots won't move you, and they'll no longer move the opponent either because he has nowhere left to go. So, you'll be closer every single time you do this, and at most ranges you can just press throw immediately. And you're already +4 anyways, so. Another benefit to this move is that it gives Crouching Medium Punch an actual purpose, because it allows you to cancel things into it. It doesn't do it for Medium Kick, just Crouching Medium Punch gets this feature. So you can actually combo with stuff like this, which is useful at like really far ranges, because as when you're like this far away for a jump in, you won't be able to link that. But you can a lot of the times you can still link Crouching Medium Punch. So and this lets you get much more damaging combos and much more stun-inflicting combos, so you can get stuff like that, which is really strong. Combos that you would normally not get a knockdown off of, like that. You now get the ability to cancel the light attacks into the gunshot, causing an immediate knockdown. And she can do this fucking stupid thing where she can just loop this. At a certain range, you can loop forward hard punch over and over.
You won't miss. It's not done. Handle this.
Which is actually easier to get into than you'd think. Because if you just do like a normal frame trap setup, you would be able to combo off that in that situation. So, like a properly spaced that, you can easily position yourself backwards, walk backwards into that optimal range, and then start doing that if you want to. I mean, and if you just happen to poke and catch them from that range. You can just go nuts. And if you're sure that you're going to get the jump in, you can spend the bullets off of a jumping punch input to get a crap ton more stun onto your combo. Valk also gets like a pretty legit loop, basically in the corner. Not with an actual throw loop, but she can meaty with that. Ugh. She can meaty with that, and then get a really vicious throw loop going on. As you can see, I did however many throws, and it took off that much health due to the chip and gray life. So this is especially good if these tactics are especially good if you just want to spend the bullets immediately as soon as you get them, and then have your trigger run out so that you can build another like a second V trigger by the end of the round, and then space that one out more efficiently. So by doing that, and with all the utility that the trigger has, I think it's really good. So trigger 2, this one's a 3-bar, which means that you'll be pretty low on life and you'll only get this once per round when you do it, which is kind of a problem based on how it works, because you have to actually confirm a hit before you can actually activate this trigger, because it does an unsafe attack when you activate it. You can confirm this off of like anything though. Confirm that, you can activate. So like, as long as you get a hit, it's no problem. I just think that the first trigger has more utility in terms of like ways of extending your pressure and such with that stuff. Another thing is that, sort of like some people figured out with Zeku's V-Trigger 2, it's like a 6-frame startup move or something, and it hits actually really far away, so you can use it as a whiff punish. This one, not exactly the case. It doesn't hit that far away. It's also not like projectile invincible or anything like Zeku's V-Trigger 2 is, and this is about a 10-frame startup. But you should still be able to confirm into it from like just any of your normal stuff, including specials. And you do get Oki off of that normal throw or back throw. Unfortunately for the rest of this, and unlike V-Trigger 1, you don't really get Oki off of the combos that you can extend with this. Unless you're pushing them to the corner, so... You still not close enough to really threaten the opponent if they're recovering. Even though you still carry them a really good distance. So that you don't get a forward dash off of, because if they normal recover, you're -7. So in this, there's various ways to extend your damage. You can cancel that into this attack, which just gets a knockdown. One benefit to this V-Trigger is that you can get a knockdown off of just this poke into gunshot, so your most common thing you can now get a knockdown off of. It doesn't really matter all that much, because you're still not gonna get Oki off of it if they back recover, so it does a bit more damage and a bit more corner carry, but it's still not that much better, especially since you don't get that many uses of it. And it's just like, you could do pretty much the same stuff and bully your way in and do a ton of damage with combos with V-Trigger 1 too, but V-Trigger 1 is a 2-bar, and it has even more utility than this. This also gets this overhead, which is plus on block and allows you to combo and hit. But, I don't think this is like that. You know, I haven't tested it as much in actual matches and such to see if people are like reacting to this. I'm assuming it's extremely reactable. I tested it out, it's pretty reactable. You can go for like goofy stuff like that though, since you can cancel into it from a bunch of stuff. But it doesn't reach that far. I've tried to find like ways of doing it meaty or covering both knockdowns, but there doesn't really seem to be that many. So like the benefits of this is you can get knockdowns off of those situations as well. And if your opponent isn't like reacting to and punishing this, which I'm assuming is very possible, then you can probably bully your way in a bit with that. Canceling off of stuff like that. But it still doesn't give you access to like some of the other stuff you had, like being able to get pressure off of a max range jumping medium punch, or being able to do this to extend your pressure on block with the plus frames of the V-Trigger 1 gunshot. One thing that this does let you do is get really good damaging combos at this range for standing hard punch, because it will let you basically you can, there's a good range, the range where this would be like +2 or whatever on block, or +1, where it will cancel into the overhead and combo cleanly. That being said, like, the prospect of getting two V-Trigger 1 is already really good. Like, arguably as good or better than this V-Trigger in completion. And, you have the possibility of getting two V-Trigger 1s in a round, where you can only maybe get one of these if you find the time to actually activate this. So yeah, even off of like gunshots, it's not enough to make it like a legit frame trap and actually be able to do that without getting anti-aired. Not even off of that. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention about V-Trigger 1 is canceling into it. Some of the combos you can get, so like if you confirm off of that, you'll be like +21, which allows you to get a raw, regular or EX catapult. The other position where you would get gunshots into trigger activation would be like the double knockdown meaty, which would be something like that. So yeah, I think that the character should be played like in the mid-range about here. I mean, the character can work at pretty much any of these ranges, because the character can shoot from back here, jump forward with a crazy long jumping medium punch, and fake it with this. And at this range, it's a little bit safer to do the gunshots to like cover that forward space, and it's not as easy to just react to it and jump over it and punish it. And you can release the gunshots when like opponents chase you, just shooting into them, but like when they're not outside of the range where it'll hit, so that they can react to it. So you can like jump forward and do stuff like that sometimes, although I wouldn't recommend doing it all the time. But it will hit sort of like a dive kick, and you know it can be useful for some things. Although like I said, it won't convert into anything. So mostly you want to just stick to your ground game. And poke with this. Make sure it'll always hit though, and then just hit confirm it. It's really easy to hit confirm.
Too slow.
Poke with this, most frequently. Standing light kick into gunshot is the fucking god. It's so good. When you're closer, you can pressure with medium punch, checking the opponent with light kick and gunshot, or hard punch with that hit confirm. And getting meaties when you can, especially in the corner with that. And outside of the range of those normals, you always have a buffer with standing medium kick and regular gunshot when it's most certainly within range to hit, so about here. And neutral jumping with medium punch. Or mixing it up with gunshot or empty jump. The character, I think, can deal with fireballs pretty well. Not the greatest, but Falk has an assortment of tools that will deal with fireballs or get the upper hand when other characters' fireballs are on the screen. And if she's within this range, she'll still beat fireball characters because light kick is extremely fast and hits super far, and this will beat other fireballs and hit the opponent more due to it having 3 hits. And the opponent has, or Falk has, a variety of options to maneuver about in the air and change her trajectory, and she can jump in on people throwing projectiles from really far away. And so long as you're not constantly throwing out like this at a range where it won't hit, this at a range where it won't connect, or you're not using this move too much, you should always be able to anti-air with that super fast 1-button input for the Schneider. Or anti-air from a bit farther away with that, or that. Or that.
You won't miss.
Be wary about characters jumping out of the corner. The corner is where Falk gets all of her Oki, so you need to be able to stop the opponent from getting out. Which means the air throw comes in handy in these situations. I forgot to show the Oki off of those, so. Now, finally, for people who aren't used to playing negative edge input characters, I want to sort of quickly go over and explain how I input which punch buttons I hold in which situations to charge the whatever the move's called in the first place, just the Psycho Shot, whatever. So the gunshot. You hold a punch button down, charge it up, and then her fist glows, and you release it, and it does the gunshot. We all know this, but basically, each punch button that you hold, one thing that you can do is you can press another punch button, and then release the first one that you had held, so now I'm holding hard punch rather than light punch, and it still retains the charge. You don't have to have the move come out in order to start charging it. You can disguise it in other actions. You can whip a light kick and then start charging with any button. You can do it during a backdash or a forward dash. You can switch your buttons during these actions. So basically, there's different pros and cons to the different buttons that you have held. Obviously, whichever button that you're holding, it's a button that you can no longer use. So, in general, I would say, if you're really far away, hold light punch. If you're around here, it depends. Either hold light punch or medium punch. And if you're here, hold heavy punch. So, basically, you have to train your muscle memory a lot to be able to do this. But, like, after all of your knockdowns and stuff, when you forward dash, when you have actually legit Oki, whatever button you were holding before, you want to switch it to heavy punch. If you have it on light punch, you won't be able to throw. If you have it on medium punch, you won't be able to do a medium punch. You don't really use heavy punch right in the opponent's face, so it's fine. So you can do light kick and then start holding heavy punch. Then you can do medium punch. And then keep holding medium punch, and then switch it off of heavy punch, then do the heavy punch, and then either hold it or release the charge or whatever. So one thing that you can do is when you're looking for a counter hit confirm, say you're do this light kick and then into medium punch, which is a legit frame trap, and that'll catch counter hits, right? Because of that, when you hit medium punch while holding the heavy punch for the charge, every single time you press the medium punch, hold it down as well. So when you press it, I'm holding down both heavy punch and medium punch, so that if you see if it's blocked, you just release the medium punch and then you can like walk forward and press it again. And if you see that it got a counter hit, you release the heavy punch and then press the heavy punch for the heavy punch confirm. So off of a forward throw, you want to switch it from whatever you're holding it into either, well, it depends. You can get a meaty hard punch afterwards, after the forward throw. So you probably don't want to use hard punch. However, if you use light punch, you won't be able to threaten to walk up and throw. Because you won't be able to input throw until you do something else. But medium punch is your medium check if you walk forward. So you gotta decide while you're doing the throw what you want to do afterwards in order to choose which button you want to hold after that. In the neutral, generally, in the mid-range, you want heavy punch, because that's your hit confirm. And you don't really need medium punch for anything except for neutral jumping medium punch, which is still really good, but you don't always need it, so you can hold that. You don't need any of your light punches unless you're point blank, really, because light kick is your best poke out of all of your lights. So you don't need your light punches. However, if you're holding light punch and the opponent dashes forward and throws, you will be physically unable to tech it. Because, especially since they changed this in 3.5, you can no longer do special inputs overlaid with throw teching. What this essentially means is that if someone dashes forward and you press, like, say you map another button on your controller to throw. If you press that button, it won't come out. If you're still holding light punch, it'll just come out as light kick. In addition to that, so you have to release the light punch in order to press the throw to be able to tech it. If you release the punch before they throw, you'll just get the special move, and then they will throw you out of the startup of that special move, and you won't be able to tech it. If they're already throwing you, and you release the button to throw, it'll count as you inputting a special move, and due to the 3.5 changes, you will no longer be able to throw tech. So if you're holding light punch, it is absolutely impossible for you to tech a throw. You can still backdash and jump out of it, but like, you also won't be able to input EX Psycho Schneider until you find a way to release the button. So at this range, I would consider using medium punch to hold the charge most frequently, so that you still have access to throw tech and hard punch. And like I said, every single time you should be like generally on a backdash, you should switch it to a light punch. Generally on a forward dash, you should switch it forward, so like to a medium punch or to heavy punch when you get up close, and then when you're on the throw, switch it to something else, so on and so forth. And then once you, it's a lot of inputs to constantly be changing at once, but once you practice it, it should be no problem. And if you're far away, you can use light punch because you're not, like, the opponent isn't close enough to throw you. Also, in this range, in like certain matchups, like say you're fighting a Zangief, Zangief probably isn't gonna forward dash and then regular throw. They're probably gonna forward dash and then command throw or something like that. You can usually spare to hold light punch and then have access to all your mediums and your jumping medium punch. And that's pretty much it. I mean, like, practice, and then start playing the matches like that, and stop like doing all this nonsense all over the place, because that's not gonna kill your opponent. So yeah, just put it to work, and then start playing the character like in the most optimal way, and then we'll get a better idea of whether or not this new character is pretty strong or pretty weak. I mean, due to the really bad Oki off of most of her knockdowns and such, I would agree with a lot of people, I wouldn't agree with most people, because most people are saying that she's like worst in the game, which I think is ridiculous. I think she'll be like somewhere in the middle, like low mid to just mid tier. The character definitely has a lot of strengths. Really strong V-Trigger 1, especially. Kind of okay V-Trigger 2. I mean, like, it's not as bad as some of the other characters. Like, you want to compare this V-Trigger 1 to, like, Vega's or Ryu's? So I think her V-Trigger 1 is really very strong. I think her V-Trigger 2 is okay, but not great, not as good as V-Trigger 1. In general, I still think she'll struggle due to a lot of reasons, such as, she'll probably still lose to characters with, better footsies, better pokes, and her lack of, Oki in mid-screen is really gonna hurt her. Especially since she doesn't get side switch combos. So, like, characters with V-reversals that switch sides or anything like that, she'll have trouble dealing with, because she'll push them all the way to the corner and then they'll just get out. Also, that's her V-reversal. It hits twice, which makes it a little unique. Which should help her, like, deal with some of the ways that some characters have to punish V-reversals, like Akuma can V-skill parry a lot of V-reversals, but he won't be able to do that against multiple hits. So yeah, I think what the character needs, other than just like better Oki and like better walk speed, better dashes per se, would be like I mean, crouching medium kick and maybe crouching medium punch, like special cancelable, especially since like light kick fireball is really good, light kick and gunshot, but it would also help if she could go, like, if she could sort of, while the opponent is walking around and standing up, if she could dash up and do low gunshot, not even just low into like something that gets a knockdown, but like safely just do low gunshot. That would That would probably help her a lot. In addition to her being able to get low into a knockdown. Being more plus on her lights, definitely. Being able to combo off of counter hit into standing medium punch off of more than just standing light kick would definitely help. Especially since standing light kick already does everything. It's already like this amazing neutral poke. So why does it also have to be like the only thing that you can really use legitimately on block without just having the entire string be full of lights? And standing medium kick, as good as it is still pretty slow. 8-frame startup. A lot of her moves are pretty slow in general, so. And I mean, her V-Trigger one is already, like, I think, pretty strong as it is, but another buff would be, like, allowing her to cancel regular gunshots into the V-Trigger gunshots. I think would definitely help, because it will allow her to convert off of, like, that hit, which is, once again, the most common hit you're probably going to be getting. Now, increasing the range of her sweep, probably, would make it more than just useless. And, I know it's already, like, almost her farthest reaching button, but increase the range of crouching medium punch enough so that it will reliably combo off of, like, jumping medium punch at max range. Where, currently at max range, she doesn't really get anything off of that. She can just, like, advance forward, and she can, walk into, like, poke range and poke with that. Falk should, if played this way, should build a lot of meter. Poking with, like, normals and the specials a lot, and, doing stuff like that. So, yeah, I'm sure there's some more, like, other tech, like, with this weird move. I found, like, certain situations to hit it meaty, but, they require, like, reading the opponent's back roll and such. So, as people, like, start to develop tech for that, that should be interesting to see. But other than that, I think that's pretty much how the character's supposed to be played, and that's, how I see players winning with her, doing well, like, actually taking matches, is playing in that style. Xian plays in that style. I watched Xian play. He talks a lot about how good stand light kick and gunshot is. He was doing quite well. A lot of other players that were just going nuts with the dumb, like, low damage, high risk gunshots, all over the place. They were losing constantly, so, you know, try it out, then we can see how strong the character actually is when played correctly. Alright, I hope that helped anyone. The character's fun. I'm having a lot of fun playing her. Well, anyways, until next time.